Has come both from the corporate activity, which you would expect would be very strong with all of the project demand that's happening. And the companies that come into Saudi, they love to bank with Saab because of our affiliation with the Hsbc group. They know the brand. So that part of it has been very strong. But equally, our mortgage growth has also been very strong. And so it's both sides of the business. And we expect that to continue into next year.
How much of the loans portfolio right now is corporate versus retail?
About 75% roughly is corporate and 25% retail.
So now in an environment where interest rates are going to go down, to what extent can that impact your margins negatively?
Our sensitivity as a corporate bank, we had sensitivity of around 10 basis points going back 2 or 3 years, which was very nice as interest rates went up. That benefited revenue. Our sensitivity is now down to around 2 basis points. So we've reduced sensitivity deliberately in anticipation of rates falling. And we think we can offset that sensitivity through volume growth, as you've seen in the book, it's very strong, and strong cost discipline, effective cost spend, essentially.
How were you able to reduce sensitivity? Can you tell us the strategy that you had over the past so that you are ready for this next phase?
Part of it was the ambition in our mortgage business, the strong growth. It's a fixed rate 25-year product, so that was helpful. We also increased our investment book. We doubled the size of the book from 50 billion to 100 billion, and it's a fixed rate book. It has a good yield, and as interest rates fall, the margin on that book increases. And so they're the two driving ways in which we reduce the sensitivity.
We will go back to the loans, but let us discuss the third quarter results, which were out yesterday. You had growth in the third quarter in the net profits of 2.9%, but still they came a bit below expectations. So what was the difference between the actual results and the expectations from analysts?
You would have seen our ECL reporting was higher than most people expected. But as a corporate book, we've long explained that our ECL forecasting is quite different than if you're a retail bank. It's a portfolio forecast. We have client names. Sometimes these things come into the books, and they can be a bit lumpy, is how we've described it in the past. But it's not a trend. Our guidance for cost of risk is between 27 basis points and 40 basis points, and we'll finish the year in guidance at the lower end of the range. Our annualised profits were up 16%, so we were quite pleased with the 9 months performance relative to 9 months of 23, and we're confident about the fourth quarter.
So the impairments have gone up to around 309 million in the third quarter compared to 144 million in the corresponding quarter. Now you mentioned that your book is corporate mostly, and is that the reason why you had a jump versus other banks which were able to reduce impairments in the third quarter?
The jump is name by name, and it doesn't necessarily mean there's a trend in credit impairments across the portfolio. Sometimes it's just one very large exposure. And so, sometimes our ECL position's 0, sometimes it's 300. But over the course of the year, we managed that in a range that we reported every year, and we haven't missed that range in the 4 years I've been here, and we don't expect to.
Let's go back to the lending business. So now if we compare the loans portfolio to the deposits as a net calculation, it's 97%. We know that this is not the regulatory format for loan to deposit ratio. But at 97%, this means that you need sources of funding. And we saw banks in Saudi Arabia issuing sukuks and bonds lately.
Right.
So do you have any plans for issuance in the next months?
Yeah, we do. We're going to be, like the other banks, regular issuers in the market. And that's a healthy sign for the Saudi banking system. If you look at developed markets everywhere, banks will always issue wholesale. It provides diversification of the balance sheet. So yes, we will do that. I can't tell you when exactly, but we'll be regular issuers. And it's been noticed that the Saudi banks now rely on international investors because of the issuance. But again, we don't see that as a negative. We see that as Saudi connecting and opening up.